All right, good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 27th episode of our Book of Hours first run through our first YouTube run. We have been reading a book, The Shadow in the Stair. So I tried to read the Berry book. It was a bit too much for me. And I know that with the presence of Kilisimi, that's actually going to cause some problems for my health. So in this case, for some reason, I think I'm probably just a little too used to playing my Twitch run where I have so many more desks unlocked. I've actually failed to realize that the Berry book requires or any Nectar book really requires a particular combination that I can't easily achieve with the existing desks that I have. I'm sure most of you already kind of saw this, but there are some desks that take scale, which will help me with the Earth sign. But when it comes time to incorporate the other parts, that normally will require heart. That's both for the health, but also the skills that I have. And if you kind of take the time to check all of the different desks, again, I wind up in a situation where I'll have heart, but I don't necessarily have the scale. None of them have nectar. If I had one desk with nectar, that would solve it. But I'm going to need to go through the church and a couple of other areas in order to achieve that. So we're going to work with the work through the hedge of thorns, and in fact, it's going to be a bit tight in terms of opening up the box of rarities and the box of oddities. I would like to sort of hold out if I can, but I know the bells and the birds are going to be chiming in a little bit. But for those of you that have not seen what happens if you try to read a book without the without the necessary aspects, I will show you in just a minute. We're also going to get a new language, so crack track from Lala Kamiya in a minute. Huntress Gourmier, occasional bureau consultant. When it can't be killed and it really needs killing, Kamiya is the one they turn to. I've learned enough to puzzle out books in this language, though it might be slow going. So this is Crack Track in the tracks of beasts, in the convolutions of his own carapace, the egg vein and shell shadow, the many-eyed one found the signs which can be history. Illumination and preservation, to nectar and scale. Now, a little less money than I would want, occult money of course, than I would want, but I'm happy to have the languages a little earlier than what I do in one of my other playthroughs. Alright, opportunities, there's still a chance. So this would require soul and relevant furniture. Okay, so we do have a nectar furniture, which is good. And here I am going to consider with the core something small and rare. Crack open the container, delight in your discovery. And I think given the time it's going to take, let's just go to Crowcross Sands with my Trist. What has the sea seeded today? I still need to commit the chair. So that's one that could have potentially gone against me. We'll use the comfortable, not the restful. Amateurly varnished, characterfully stained. Stretch my legs and change my point of view. Increase relevant aspects using a comfort. Nectar full flower. Alright. So, desiccated witchworms. Nasty little things, but almost safe when they're dead. Okay, so we'll have to deal with this on another day. How are we on? 30 seconds. It's going to be tight, but I know I'll at least get the health back. Trist isn't the end of the world if I don't get that back. Nectar is going to be a likely one for me to be able to read, but... Okay. So again, Ernestine Peterhans records her conversations with the Little Darkness in Hush House's Stair Tenebris, which she calls Donkerling. Ernestine's business in the cellars of Hush House often took her up and down the Stair Tenebris, although it is avoided by every other servant. Donkerling attempted first to consume her and then to demand sacrifices from her. Ernestine consented to bring it mice, but became very stern when it asked for a new drowned child. Donkerling claims to be an imprisoned long under the protection of the deepest power of the sea. It is prone to occasional bouts of raving about how, when it has freedom, its patron will drown the isle. Ernestine renders most of these long speeches as ... but is very interested in what it can tell her about the circumstances of shipwrecks. There are hints that she may have been planning a salvage expedition. Okay, so that gets us an impulse, and coil and chasm, so that should be a new one for us. And because it's an impulse, we should be able to add that to the impulse shelf. We may also need to have overflow for the impulse shelf, but I'll worry about that when the time comes. Alright, so that's gonna... unfortunately, that doesn't bring us any closer to the berry book. I will give it a try at some point, but I feel like if I'm gonna be trying difficult texts, there are other ones that I can put on the list first. I am also going to do a little bit of rearranging, so if possible, I want to try and keep this upper level for texts that I can't read or otherwise can't engage with, and then this is going to be the overflow for things that are in languages I don't understand. Or, sorry, no. These are things that I can read, these should be things that I can read, this should be in other languages that I don't understand, and we've got a crack track text now, so... 10 nectar is pretty optimistic, though. Okay, it's crowded, but we're getting somewhere. Right, sea-strewn, salt-snared stuff. The sand actually wouldn't be bad to keep in the foundry if I can swing it. Okay, so I think maybe another thing I should be thinking about is what do I want to try and achieve? So there's, as far as rooms are concerned, so I've got the Orchard Keeper, so that should be 2 nectar... actually, today might have been a good day to try and mess around with the Orchard Keeper. So we can get 2 for default, 3 with an element of the soul, 5 with irrelevant memory. So earth signs mean that I can sort of do that whenever. Okay, let me try that again. So 2, 4 with the element of the soul and the tool. 6 with the earth sign, but I would need 7 for the well. The reason why the well is important is that it gets me access to a renewable source of water, which means that I can recover elements of the soul for Numa. So it's a fairly high priority, but it would seem to me that I need to give something up. Well, actually, I guess the pears would do the trick there, because I can always get the pears again later. All right, yeah, that's how I'm going to spend the day. All right, worms, 7 coils, dangerous places, how earthquakes are bound and why they are sealed. And it's another rainy day, so I don't even need to worry about using up the earth sign. So, let's use a florin. The Sweet Bones has been the public house in Brandkrug since Cromwell's time. Its history is notable, its beer is not. Guests looking for discreet employment or for discreet assistance congregate in the snug. In autumn, the orchard keepers come to sell their wares at Brandkrug. A shilling will buy one's help. Orchard keepers offer nectar and a little heart. Alternatively, add a soul card to find any rarer guests who might be seeking employment. So we'll just settle. We'll remain with the orchard keeper for now. But it would be good because we are in autumn. It would not be a bad idea to just kind of take a look at what it's going to take to unlock a few other places. So I think probably with the Grail, I'm happy to leave that to Mrs. Kill. The Rose Haunted Hall, on the other hand, well, that's a Mrs. Kill job as well. Okay, so it looks like there's really just one thing for the Orchard Keeper to take care of. The rest is something that we can sort out through other means. So that's fine. I'm not going to get the pears back today because I need to use the health for the Orchard Keeper. But that's spoken for. Now, it would be nice if I could make an effort on a text. So I'm actually going to take the time to go through. So let's maybe first start with these. So Locksmith Stream, by their marks. Okay, so Locksmith Stream, the question here would be, do I have enough knock with my existing skills here? So let's say if we had a memory, that would be 2 knock. We don't get knock we don't have any knock tools. We don't have any knock inks so far as I can tell. So the best that we could muster would be 4. So there are texts that we can read even without shopped. But we shouldn't be attempting them because we just have other alternatives for the time being. Demotu corporum veditorum sort of seems like something I might be able to handle because I have handled some Sky stuff in the past and I have Faust. But if you take a look at my actual Sky, all of it is 2. It's basically the same as having like sights and sensations, so we're not worried about that. I know I've mentioned that one a few times, so I'm sure you're all getting tired of hearing about it. Wound Wounds is a very high level one. We've already got a scale text, which is kind of equivalent to the Hissing Key, although I do want to take a look and see if I can do that. We might take a crack at the Moon one. A cloudy day would have been a better day for me to try that. Oh, and the Radical Measure. Okay, so we've got 2 from Fett. Well, seems to me like the best we've got for Rose is still 2. Yeah, so 10's a bit ambitious. Okay, no real surprises there, but doesn't hurt to check. And then these ones I think we've looked at pretty comprehensively. So, winter definitely feels like I mean, winter really, we're probably just waiting for the relevant weather. Unless I've completely lost it, and you know what, it's easier if I just mouse over. Yeah, I only have 1. Okay. That's fine. I'm not too fussed. Not too fussed about getting the winter yet. But it would seem to me, given what we know, my best bet would be to... Okay, let me just think about the instruments of the heart, actually. So we've got 10, 2 with the core, 5, 6. Oof. Yeah, right. We're waiting for the storm. Okay. I actually am a little bit more limited on books than I thought I was before. I may still try the Berry book at some point. Actually, yeah, this is the other tricky part. Would I maybe want to try the Berry book today? Because the thing is... No, you know what? Unless there's something specifically about the Grail that cracks this open. I wouldn't be able to use heart here. Yeah, the berry book is just going to be a very difficult one to handle, and it's one that I'm potentially going to get sick off of. So we're going to stay the course over here. For lantern, I think I said I was going to take a flyer on that, but actually that's not even a lantern text. Where was the lantern? Right, Rose of Woznai. So I've got 2. I could get a 3rd. Yeah, I can get up to 5. I'm vastly overestimating my ability to read most of this stuff. I guess the one thing that's nice here with the green jasper tablet, I'm likely not going to wind up... In fact, it's equivalent to reading the berry book. So maybe I try reading the green jasper tablet first, because I know at least the presence of winter isn't going to make me sick. Okay, that's the game plan. But Foss doesn't get me anything, so we're going to use that first. I mean, I can use it in the sweet bones to make money, but that's not the most important thing I can be doing right now. Okay, in autumn, the orchard keepers come to sell their wares at Brandkrug. A shilling will buy one's help. In Cornwall, it is quite possible to take a stride from the richest vegetation into the abomination of desolation. It has been said in mockery that Cornwall does not grow wood enough to make coffins for the people. Sabine Baring Gould. Alright, so let's start with the health. So I don't think the Arab gets me anything that I can gather with, so I should probably be using the Arab. In fact, I should have used that with the... Actually, with that in mind, maybe we try and make Mrs. Kill... Yeah, there's no reason we shouldn't be using this to try and make Mrs. Kill more productive. So we've got the Rose-Haunted Hall, we've got the Dim Hall. Either of them would require the Witching to Sane. Okay. So I'll use the Fet to get the satisfaction. We'll work alongside each other. Okay, we'll use the rain here, talk about the weather, more useful than one might expect, especially in Britain. Mrs. Kill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. Okay, so I am juggling a couple of hirelings here, but Mrs. Kill is free, so I will take care of the orchard keeper first. And again, it might have been nice to make a try on one of those nectar texts, but in this case I actually think the well is a bit of a unique case. Interesting. So I've got an amethyst ampule. Were it released from the glass, it would be quite another color. So I think for lack of a better place to put... Oh, yeah, I was going to put it up here, but we will keep it in the foundry. Okay, let's take advantage of the weather while it lasts. Cake time. Just remembering that the aim here is 7, and so we're going to get that with the bowl of pears in a little bit. So there's a bit of repair. So I don't have to make it so that every time I use something, I replace it. But it's a nice system to have, just, you know, to make sure that I don't wind up in a situation where I feel like I'm, you know, I have a shortfall. I'm not able to take advantage of something that comes out of the game. So I will replace the pears when the time comes. I'm also going, on the odd chance that I make a mistake with Mrs. Kill and I'm not able to get it done in time, I'll save the Witching to Sane for the very end. But I think we should be able to manage it. Obviously I'm keeping the core Arab and Trist set aside just in case. Okay. So, offer something to eat. I can offer my assistant something to eat. This will increase their aspects. It's also just friendly. So to get Mrs. Kill to the level that we need, and I think that was the Rose-Haunted Hall. So that's 7, so we've got the Satisfaction, the Arab, and then... Oh, you know what? I don't even need to worry about the Witching Tisane here. I can just give her the Spice Scales. Sustenance has boosted their aspects appropriately, so let's talk with Mrs. Kill about Satisfaction, and we'll get the Orchard Keeper working on the deserted well right away. The well is choked and filthy. It'll need to be purified inside and out. So this actually making... we've got quite a bit more progress on the house. I had said in a few episodes ago that this is the sort of thing that I had as an option, but I'm still a little surprised by how much progress we can make with very little effort. Basically looking at... in fact, I can also... So we need the Arab for Mrs. Kill, but for the rest of this we can just investigate Crowcross Sands and do our usual things. What is the sea seeded today? And clamber up the long reaches of the moors behind the village, lean into the wind's fluttering fist. If I know what to look for, I might find something among the rocks. The last leaves toss and scutter. But yeah, in terms of what we can do with Mrs. Kill, we're kind of already getting an indication of it right now, so I'll throw in the Arab. So this is kind of getting me to the... Well, without the tool, I suppose. This is kind of getting me the baseline. But if we can bring her up to 7 without the Witching Tisane, then that essentially means anything with 9 Grail we can handle. Now, the blockaded stairs don't allow 9 Grail. We can get the Rose-Haunted Hall, we can get the Dim Hall, we can get the Overgrown Kitchen Garden, and then, yeah, the rest we need to sort out for ourselves. The main benefit of this one is just my ability to drop water to recover elements of the soul. Alright, Creeper-Crowded Descent, Leaves, Flowers, and Thorns, especially Thorns. If I had a 2-nectar... Oh, actually, Dandelion Wine. So if I want, I can hire another... Orchard Keeper to get go lower in the Creeper-Crowded Descent. And that may not be a bad idea. We'll see how the day goes. But let's proffer a tool. I can lend my assistant something to help increasing their abilities. You'll still be able to use the tool. I suppose if it really comes down to it, I could also just claim the Overgrown Kitchen Garden right away. That gets the most difficult one out of the way, and then everything else is just a matter of the Rose-Haunted Hall and the Dim Hall. I don't really think the order matters that much. Yeah, you know what? I'll go for the most difficult. Okay. A nice drop. I can offer my assistant something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. So I will probably pick the pear first. I do have the option of a bunch of grapes. Unexpected finds, the folds of the earth and sky, and more mackerel. Okay, so that's 9. Yeah, Overgrown Kitchen Garden. This place has been surrendered to wind and weed. Bees buzz menacingly. Somewhere something clucks plaintively. Running out of room for the mackerel. But tomorrow, I think I may even just make it so that I refresh the to say. Yeah, actually, this works out well. So I'll use the heart. Actually, I could also use the core to pluck pears. So core for the pears. Hire another gardener. Yeah, that works really well. And then we'll get Mrs. Kill working on the Rose Haunted Hall, because that won't require the augment with the drink. I suppose one question would be whether or not we have a rainy day. But that's what the earth sign is for. Again, I've got all of these elements of the soul that I can employ to the to our unlocking, and now is the season to do it. So it also occurred to me I didn't read the text for the two rooms that I unlocked. So there's been a well here since the days of the Sisterhood, and superstitions have gathered around it like leaves and drifts. Its water has a healing virtue if drawn on a night of the new moon. It is ill luck to draw from it if you hear an owl. If you drip the blood of a living enemy into the well, they'll drown, and so on. Certainly when Numa comes, the mists lie thick here. And the kitchen garden. In 1652, Musgrave de Wolf caught a traveling peddler stealing vegetables from this garden, an eccentric wanderer who went by Ricardo Milagro. Musgrave's ancestors would simply have hung the fellow, but Musgrave decreed 7 years' service in the garden instead. When the 7 years were up, Milagro had proved his worth as a gardener and chose to make Brankrug his home. The grapevines here were planted with rootstock he carried in his pack. Here we've got Terence the chicken. Was this magnificent and indomitable beast named for the rector's indomitable and magnificent housekeeper? Best not to inquire too closely. And Tuppence, the other chicken. Tuppence's most notable quality, all observers will agree, is that she is not Terence. We also have the beehive. Bees, like librarians, are not to be trifled with. Garden, nourishing vegetables in summer and autumn. And the gentle climate of Cornwall supports grapevines, harvest in spring and summer. All right, the infested wine cellar. That requires 10 grail and 10 moth. Now, if we have a grail food item, we would actually be able to go even further. But let's not worry about that quite yet. We have plenty of things that we can do that don't require us to go deeper into the house. And I think what I will do, I know I have big plans for tomorrow, but I do know I went quite late on yesterday's broadcast. So I think what I'll do is I'll wait for the morning, and then I'll wrap it up here. It's a couple minutes early, I know. But then we'll just have a fresh new day to start for, clearing out the remaining rooms. Especially because I think I'm going to be making some specific calculations in terms of how to make it all work on time. It probably wouldn't hurt for me. Oh. Well, we'll take a look at what Oriflammes has as an offer. Oriflammes, established 1776, Sense Signs Sciences. Dear Librarian, we would like to offer you this opportunity to purchase the Calcite Supplications, prayers addressed to the Red Grail by the Sisterhood of the Triple Knot. That is an 8 grail text that is within our ability to read. However, we only have 3 tally value. So not likely to... Well, simply not going to be bought, and I likely wouldn't have bought it even if I hadn't spent the money on language lessons. But yeah, I think we're going to leave that here, and tomorrow we will try to unlock at least 2 more rooms, but I'm feeling fairly good about this. We've got plenty of autumn left. We may not necessarily be reading books as quickly as we have before, although I do actually still have some options for me in terms of getting some rooms. I've mostly just wanted to see what I have available to me right now. And we're definitely getting to a point where it would make sense to start locking some things into the Tree of Wisdoms. But like I said, because I haven't quite been hitting the limits of what I can do with my existing elements of the soul, you'll notice there have been some days where I just wind up collecting stuff. There isn't quite the same advantage to me getting extra ones for the sake of having extra ones. And then on top of that, because I have been able to read most of the other texts, I wanted to take the opportunity to see what was available, let's say, before I went too far. I guess the other thing that I can do too, now that I've got a few languages, I might also be able to commit them to, the Tree of Wisdom. So, I'm probably not going to try to level up Deep Mandiat, Kilisimi, Henevek, or Crack Track if I can avoid it. So perhaps it would make sense for me to try and commit a few of these things. In fact, we've got 2 which can go into Bosk. So that might be something to sort of help me go down the path as well. Anyways, something for me to think about, but I'll deal with that at a later time. I think we are getting close to the point where I will probably commit some things to the Tree of Wisdoms, though. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. We should have one more episode for the rest of the week, and so I will see you tomorrow. Take care.